Now that our feed line is ready to read and to consume, and we have also a form to create new quaks, we are going to introduce the next step, what is deleting one of the quaks that I don't like. So imagine you just quacked something and you don't like it, that you are able to delete it. So first of all, what we're going to do is we are going to go to our controller. So let's move over to our editor. Let's close all this. Just wrap that all like that. And go back to our quak controller. And here we have a delete method. So destroy method. This is the method that we need to use in order to delete a quak. What we're gonna do, we're just gonna use the quak that is injected by Laravel. So let's say quak delete. So this is actually gonna delete it. And after that, as we did also for the post, we're gonna redirect. So it's return a redirect to the quaks index. Perfect. Let's also change the return type so that it does not complain about it. And that's it. That easy it is. We need also to change our front end for it. So if we go back to our component, we are gonna put in here a small drop-down menu that allows us to delete the tweet. So let's see. Here we have our user, and next to it, what we're gonna do is we are gonna create a drop down. So let's do it in here. Drop down component. We're gonna use a template inside. Template. With the name of trigger, and we're gonna use a button, just a normal HTML button that we are gonna fill up with an SVG icon that I'm gonna paste in directly in here. So let's have a look into it. Perfect. This is our button. It's just opening the drop down. There's nothing in it yet, but now we can just create a new template with a name of content. So this is a component that's provided by Laravel. So content, perfect. And let's just create a new button in here as well. And that button is just going to say delete. So let's just delete. Let's see if it works now. If not apply, okay. I believe, yeah, there's an error. I just put the template inside the other template, so that's not right. It needs to be beneath. Let's have a look now. And there's our button delete. Great. Does nothing for now. Let's clean this up a little bit. And let's see what we can do here. Instead of a button, for example, we could just use a drop-down link. So this is a link. Drop-down link. Hey, link. Exactly. So this is just it's a component to use inside the dropdown. We want it as button. This is what we actually want. And we want to use a href to the route that we just created in the controller, so to the destroy route. Therefore, let's use the route quaks destroy and pass in the quak.id. So we need to pass in the ID in order to Laravel to know which one to inject. Also, we're gonna give it another property. What is the method? Because that's the method that we need. Otherwise, we are not gonna trigger that endpoint. So we need to delete. So actually, this is going to make a delete request to that endpoint. If we don't provide the method, it's not gonna do a delete request, just a get request. Okay, actually, here's a typo. It should be destroy. Okay, and if we go now to our page and let's just reload. Okay, you see there's an error and it says Ziggy error route quaks destroy is not in the route list. So what we didn't do, and perhaps you don't remember it, at the beginning, when we created our routes, we told Laravel to only create the route for index and store. So we need to add here as well the destroy endpoint. Otherwise, it's gonna complain. Now you see it's reloaded, it works, perfect. So if I open it, now our button is even styled, and it was not styled because we had an error. So let's clean this up and test out if it works. Delete, and it's deleted. That is awesome. Okay, but now we have a problem. And the problem here is that I can just delete all the tweets and all the quaks, and I should only be able to delete my own ones. Therefore, let's do another test. Let's just log out and register a new user. So let's say it's just test user, for example, with a test at user.com, and the password can be secret1234, for example, secret1234. Let's register. Perfect, dashboard is there. Let's go back to our quaks. We need to create, by the way, the navbar in here. Perfect, you see, I'm test user, and here are the tweets, the latest tweets, all from Baudi. So if I just go in here and delete, I'm also able to delete them, and that should not be possible. Therefore, we are going to introduce now the policies. Policies are very easy with Laravel, and we only, let's go back to our code, sorry. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new policy class in order to limit this. Therefore, we can go directly to our terminal, and inside our project directory here, we can use the create policy console command, or make policy console command. Okay, let's use PHP artisan make policy. Let's give it a name of quak policy, and provide also the model, what is quak. Perfect. You see, it just created inside app policies a new file, quak policy. Let's have a look into it. So app policies, quak policy. And there's the file for the policy. Perfect. Now we can just authorize which methods are allowed by who. So let's go to the delete. Where is it? Here. To delete method. So here's where we can limit which users are allowed to delete which quak. So you can see here in the delete method, the user, the actual registered or logged in user is injected, and also the current quak. So what we're going to say is we need to return a boolean. So what we're going to say is, okay, the quak user, the user method or the user object in here has a is method. So if we just provide that user that it's injected, so actually the user inside the quak, we are checking if it's the same user that is registered, and this will allow us to delete or not delete the quak. Let's go back to our web page and see if we're now allowed to delete a quak that it's not owned by us. So let's try to delete it. And yes, it's deleting it. Why? Because we are not using that policy that we created and that we configured yet. Of course, it's there. We are supposed to not be deleting it, but we are not using it. We didn't tell Laravel where to apply it, right? So in order to let Laravel know where this policy should be applied or not, let's just go to our controller. And inside the controller, here in the destroy method, what we can do here is just use the disauthorize, okay, the method that we want to authorize, so in this case is delete, and we're also gonna pass in the quak. The rest is gonna be injected by Laravel. So you can see authorize is inside authorizes request. It's a trait. Okay, the ability in this case is deleting. Okay, delete, and the arguments in our case is just the quak itself. It throws an error. So actually, in order to so that my ID don't complain about it, I can just add a throw tag to the comments, and then it does not complain about it. And the return type is also missing, so let's add it. Perfect. And now this is gonna be called before the deleting it. So it's gonna call our policy based on the name. Just this is how Laravel knows it. So you pass in a model, what is a quak, and then based on the naming, so if the policy is called the same name plus policy that the model, then it will just use it out of the box. It's gonna try to delete it, or at least have a look in here for that method, passing in the model, and this is gonna be returned. So now let's go back to our page and test it. Let's just hard refresh, clean it up, and see. Let's delete it, and this action is unauthorized, so you are not allowed. That is great, right? And besides that, another thing that we're gonna do, we're gonna hide these three dots in our component. So we are just going to our quak component in here, and we are not gonna show the drop down if the user is not the actual owner of that quak. So in order to avoid that message or the misleading of the platform, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna say, okay, only show this drop down. So if the quak user ID is equal to the page props auth user ID. So this is actually the prop that we are injecting, and the page $page object Okay, if we go to the inertia documentation, here you can see that it has a page object. Okay, and inside this page object we have props. It's a page props data. Okay, and basically this is injected by Laravel behind the scenes in order for us to access it. So yeah, that's it basically. So, but you can see the props auth. It's injected by Laravel so that we can have access from the front end to the current user, for example. Great. So you see that we remove those 3 dots, and that's it. Now I cannot delete any quak that it's not mine. So let's try trying to quak. Perfect. And you see, this one is mine, I can delete it. This one is not mine, I cannot delete it. Let's build another functionality. But in the next video, we're gonna create a functionality to edit those quaks. That's something that Twitter, for example, is not doing. Or actually, they are doing it, but they were for years not doing it. So let's try to edit them. And yeah, see you next video.